Welcome. Your assignment for Tuesday, April 7th, I'll get to in a second. First, the daily question. What is your favorite thing to do at home now that you find some extra time around the house? What is your favorite thing to do with your extra time around the house? Share it in the comments. Last week, we were talking about wood movement. Now, again, in your house, I'm going to ask you to show me some examples of some sort of wood movement. Before we do that, I want to explain why it's important and how it affects the construction of wooden goods around the house. So we're going back to this door. Now, we get into the door design. There's a lot that goes into it. This is actually an old New England design of two crosses in the door. There's actually a religious meaning behind that. But first, let's get into why they did it and why they have sections of the door. We come up to this side piece here, and it's going to move 5 to 10% across the grain and 1% with the grain. Up here, it's just the opposite, as it's perpendicular to this piece, 5% across and 1% this way. So if this was one solid piece of wood, that 5 to 10% would get important because the wood would bow. The second part is they want these side pieces smaller so the door does not expand and contract as much in the gap. A lot of times in New England, you'll see that during the more humid times of year, the door fits pretty tight into the gap. In the winter, your doors start to slam a little easier. That's because of this wood expanding during the humid times of the year, up to 5% bigger. All right, so this frame around the door is designed to be strong enough to be a door, but it's also designed to minimize expansion of the wood. These panels in the middle, these are actually meant to be floating panels. You always gotta be a little careful when you see a painted door because of this. If it's a real solid wooded door, this panel should actually float in that gap to allow for expansion. We come over here to a non-painted door where you actually have real wood, exposed wood. And this is your face frame around the front of the cabinet. So on the side of the cabinet, you have your veneered plywood to build the case. A lot of times nowadays, they use synthetic building materials and put a pretty face on it. So veneer. You build the face frame. Now these doors are built to fit inside the face frame. So a lot of times you'll have smaller wood pieces on those style of doors. And again, this middle piece is meant to float inside there. And I don't know if you can tell on camera that this is floating. And each of these are made to float. And then also, it's starting to get tight this time of year. A good cabinet maker would have done the math to figure out the movement, or known from experience, the movement that was going to happen with this style of face frame, or this style of door in the face frame. All right, so we're coming to one of my wife's favorite hutches. It's a hutch. It's a pine hutch done with some green paint. Looks gorgeous, looks awesome. I think it was made by a guy down in New York. Now there's no glass and there's no wood paneling on the inside of the door frame. So when this builder was building it, he just needed to make sure that these doors would fit the hole. He did some blocking back behind, but again, he used grain going with it, grain going across, grain going down, to cut down on the amount that frame will expand lengthwise. So really the important part is this gap right here between the edge of the grain and the face frame, making sure that's not going to expand into the hole. So your assignment is to find an example of cross grain construction in your house. Cabinets and doors are an easy one, where we see the wood coming up and then wood butting in. That is cross grain construction. Find an example of it somewhere in your house. Take a Snapchat style photo, like the elbow or whatever. Keep it appropriate in front of a cross grain construction piece somewhere in your house or living space. Me and you and me, we'll get through this together. Sayonara.